Hello everybody, Mac here, and we've been working on factoring by grouping. This is version C, so I do have a version A, I do have a version B, and if you go back, I have a video of me showing you how to do this on a whiteboard, okay? You can find all of that at maxtutorials.com, and anytime you like, every time you subscribe, it helps me out, and I love to hear your comments and questions that you have. Please bring them on. All right, I have 4 terms. I can't pull anything same out of these 4 terms. When that happens, try grouping them. So here's what I'm going to do. Here I'm going to pull out a 3x to the 4th. What's left over? X plus 2. Now here, on this side, I'm going to pull out a positive 4. What's left over? X plus 2. Now, I have a term here and a term here. Do you see anything the same? How about that parenthesis x plus 2? Once I pull those out, what's left over? 3x to the 4th plus 4. And that, my friends, is how we do it. All right, let's go on to number 3. I can pull out a 5x to the 3rd, and I'll be left with an x plus 4. Here I can pull out a positive 7. What am I left with? An x plus 4. Do you see anything the same? So do I. X plus 4, and what's left over? A 5x third plus 7. All right, let's go on to 5. Here on the left, I can pull out a 7x squared, which means I'll be left with an x minus 2. And here I can pull out a positive 9, and I'm left with an x minus 2. And lo and behold, I have a same x minus 2 that I can pull out, and I'm left over with a 7x squared plus 9. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, let's go on to number 7. Boom. I see between the 9 and the 27, I can pull out a 9, and you always pull out the lowest number of the variable, so x to the 4th, and I'd be left with an x minus 3. Let's look at the other one. I can pull out a positive 2. What's left over? An x minus 3. And look at that. They're the same. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it lovely? Okay, isn't it okay, here we go. And then number 9, I can pull out an 11x cubed, and that'll leave me with an x plus 3. Now, this one's a little tricky, so watch this. It's leading with a negative, so I'm going to pull out a negative 4. When I do that, if I pull a negative out of a negative, I'm just going to be left with a positive. Now remember, we're really dividing when we pull it out. So what's a negative 12 divided by a negative 4? How about a positive 3? Be very careful with your signs here. All right, and look at those. They're the same. X plus 3, and what's left over? 11x cubed minus 4. All right, let's keep going on here. Let's go on to number 11. I can pull out a 13x squared, and that'll leave me with an x plus 2. Here I can pull out a positive 8, and I'm left with an x plus 2. Yay, I got the same thing that I wanted right there, which I love, and I'm left with a 13x squared plus 8. Going on to number 13. 15 and 45. Hey, a 15 will go into both of those. I'm going to put in my x to the 4th. I'm going to be left with a 3x plus 3. 3x plus 3. No, just an x. Sorry about that. My brain got ahead of me. Don't ever let that happen. Okay, don't ever let your pencil go faster than your brain. Okay, boom, and I got an x plus 3. I say that to my musicians all the time. You know, don't let your fingers get ahead of your brain. Sometimes that happens. Okay, now right here, I'm going to pull out the x plus 3. And what am I going to be left over with? A 15x to the 4th plus 6. But now look at this. Do you see something the same? I can pull a 3 out of there, can't I? So if I pull a 3, and I'm left with a 5x4 plus 2. But don't forget that he's still there. So I still need to keep that x plus 3. And that, my friends, is my final answer. Number 15, boom. 17 and 34. Well, 17 will go in the both, and don't forget your x cubed. And I'm left with an x plus 2. Okay, and here I'm going to go up plus 12, and I'm left with an x plus 2. Look, they're the same. X plus 2 and an x cubed plus 12. Done. 17. 19 and 57. I bet you 19 will go into 57, and it will. It'll go in 3 times. 19x squared. How about that? X minus 3. Here I can pull out a positive 4 and also get an x minus 3. And look at that. My x minus 3s are the same. I love it. And I'm left with a 19x squared plus 4. Boom. Okay, here we go, number 19. Hey, my dog stopped snoring. I love that. Okay, I'm going to pull out a 21x to the fourth, and I'm left with an x minus 3. On the second half, I can pull out a positive 10, and I'm left with an x minus 3. Look, they're the same. Pull it out. What's left over? 21x to the fourth plus 10. Boom, done. Cool. Halfway done. All right, let's do the other half and we'll be done with this section. It's a lot. And so really the whole point is just to get you to learn. So just do enough where you feel comfortable and you can always move on. Of course, I'm doing this for you, so I got to do them all. So I'm going to go x minus 3 right here, and I'm going to pull out a positive 5, and I'm left with an x minus 3. And look, they're the same. X minus 3, and what's left over here, 4x to the fifth plus 5. Cool. Number 4, we're going to put a wall there. Now I see that minus. That's going to come into play soon. I'm going to pull out a 3x to the fourth, and I'll be left with a 2x plus 3. Now, I'm going to lead with the negative 2. If I pull a negative out of a negative, I get a positive. Well, actually, no. I can't pull a 2 out of 3, so I don't want to do that. I can't pull anything out. But I am going to pull out a negative 1. Because if I do that, then I'm left with a positive 2x, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive 3. And by pulling out that negative 1, that allows me to now have this as the same. And what's left over? 3x to the fourth minus 1. Okay? Let's keep going. Let's go to number 6 now. Okay, I can pull out an 8x cubed, which will leave me with an x plus 3. Here I can pull out a positive 5, which leaves me an x plus 3. Look, they're the same. That's cool. And what's left over here? 8x cubed plus 5. Love it. All right, let's jump over to number 8, okay? What is the same? I can pull out a 10, and I can pull out an x to the fifth. What's left over on the left? An x. What's left over on the right? A positive 2. Now let's look at the next one. Positive 11. What's left over? X plus 2. Hey, I got the same thing. How about that? Boom, and I'm left with 10x to the fifth plus 11. All right, always look in to see if there's more. There's nothing here, but you never know. There could be. I bet you there's another one before we're done. I'll pull out a 12x to the fourth, and I'm going to be left with an x minus 3. And here I can pull out a positive 7, and I'm left with an x minus 3. Look, they're the same. I can pull out an x minus 3 and left over a 12x to the fourth plus 7. How about them apples? All right, 5 more. We're getting so close, guys. I'm going to pull out a 7x cubed, and I'm going to be left with a 2x minus 1 because I pulled everybody out. You got to make sure you put that 1 there. Don't just write nothing. You don't want to do that. And here, these are the same, so I'm going to get a 2x minus 1. What's left over here? How about a, not a 2. How about a 7x cubed plus 5? Okay, it's a big game of what's the same, what's left over. All right, here we go. Number 14. Now this one, a 16 will go in the 48 3 times, so I can pull out a 16x to the fifth, which means I'm left with an x minus 3. And this one, I can pull out a positive 3, which I'm left with a x. No, I'm sorry, not a plus 3. I could do better than that, can't I? I can pull out a plus 9, and I'm going to get an x minus 3. Boom, and boom. So I'm going to pull out my x minus 3, and here I'm going to be left with a 16x to the fifth plus 9, and that's it. All right, 3 more. So here I'm going to pull out an 18x to the fourth, because I know 18 will go in the 54. Okay, and that's just from practice. That's just from doing these a lot. But here's the part I really want you to see. I'm going to pull out a negative 5, which means I'm going to be left with a positive x and a positive 3, because when you divide negatives, you're going to get a positive. Look, they're the same. So I'm going to pull out an x plus 3, and what's left over? 18x to the fourth minus 5. 2 more. I am going to pull out a 20x to the third, which will leave me an x plus 4. The next one, I'm going to pull out a plus 3, which gives me an x plus 4. Boom and boom. pull out an x plus 4, and I'm left with a 20x to the third plus 3. Yay. Cool. Last one. I'm going to pull out a 22x to the fifth, which means I'm left with an x plus 3. And on this one, I'm going to pull out a positive 7, which means I'm left with an x plus 3. X plus 3s are the same. Pull them out. Yay. And I am left with a 22x to the fifth plus 7. Done. And that, my friends, is factoring by grouping. Between 30 problems that we did through practice A, practice B, practice C, you guys should feel super confident about this, okay? Great job. Wow, you guys are pros at factoring if you guys got that. Nice job. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.